Brethren, let us have a talk of introduction again. Now we are coming to the third step of Anapanasati. And that is the third group. The group of 4 exercise again. And now we come to the stage that we can control the body conditioner and the mind conditioner, both of body and mind. We can control the condition of it. And that is, we can control the body and the mind. Now, we want to command them and force them to be in our want, that is, to use them to work as we want. If we look at the action of controlling, now we can control the body, the feeling, and the mind. By means of exercise of 4, we can command the mind. By means of exercise of 8, we can control. By means of the exercise of 4, we can command the body, and by means of the exercise of 8, we can control the mind. By means of exercise of 5th, we can control the feeling and the mind. We can control the body, control the feeling, and control the mind. Now we come to exercise 9 of the whole set, or the first of the third group. As I have told you, as it is an regulation, we have to practice from the first, the very beginning, and now until we come to the exercise that we are in practice. You will repeat it from the first step, the second, the third, the fourth, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, now to come to 9. We call it Citta Pati Sangveti. We know it clearly, exactly, thoroughly on the mind, well versed in the knowing of the mind. Know it every aspect of the mind. Now we check it, what the mind is in this moment first, such as now the mind having lust or without lust. Pali term is Raka. I'm not sure that's a good equivalent to the English term as lust. Raka or lust in the Pali term can be had even in an animate thing. In person we love, in animal we love, such as a pet, as dog and cat. Even in an animate thing like gold, silver, a pearl. Even the last in a new skirt or new shirt with mind of attachment. The term last in English is of such a meaning. I'm not sure. But the Pali term Raka can be used all things, animate or inanimate thing, without lust in something or not. But you can remember the lust you have ever had some time before, having the feeling of the lust as such, to know well of it now, to be sure that we have such a lust or not. At every stroke of breathing, noticing that is having lust or not having. And then to know the mind having ill will, every aspect of ill will, anger, hatred, or something else in the group of ill will. Even a little bit of ill will, having or not having. And to know well about ill will. Now a little bit left in our mind. No, having no at all. To know well about the ill will. At every stroke of breathing in and out. And to know the mind having a delusion rather in knowing it, because we have delusion we cannot know anything exactly true meaning of it. Delusion, moha. Raka is lust, ill will is dosa. Moha, now delusion without knowledge, without correct knowledge, without correct understanding, we call it a moha. We are silly or not in some case, this case, that case. Now delusion of something left in our mind or not. And then come to know the mind is having, its being or having Sankhitta. What is Sankhitta? Huh? Not radiate, but
shrunken.
Sometimes we have the meaning of briefly, such as Sankhittena Panchupatana Kantha.
Condensed.
Condensed.
Contracted.
Contract.
Shrunken.
as in having Tinamittha, slot and torpor. Slot and torpor, the mind. Having slot and torpor. Sankitta. And then Vikitta. The mind can radiate. Then the mind not radiate. Or not. And the mind having mahakatta, something better than usual. More better than usual, we call it the mahakatta. Now the mind is in a usual state or having something better than usual. Such as having better situation, better manner, better value. Having something better than usual or not. And having something, a big virtue than usual. And my samahita, firmness or stableness, that is a concentration itself, or not. And that now the mind vimutta or not, vimutta means free, emancipated, even released from all burden, free from burden, released from all burden, emancipation. The mind having emancipation or not. If we did not yet emancipated, we can calculate it from some case which is not emancipated. But we can have the knowledge of emancipation a little bit from some little case we have passed. When we can pass through all burden of life, such as even doubt, even hesitation or something like that, and the man relieves her from that hindrance or engagement or attachment, can summarize in this term: free. To know the freeness at that moment of the mind and compare to the state of free, of being free, any time, anywhere, to know well about the meaning of free, to know now the mind is in freedom or free mind or not. Now you see the exercise 9 check the mind to know what the mind is at that moment, having lust or not, having ill will or not, having delusion or not, having sloth and torpor or not, having big virtue or not, having something better than usual or not, stable or not, free or not, eighth pair, having or not having, eighth pair. Well word in knowing this eighth pair to check the mind at this exercise in the ninth. If we know well about the mind of ourselves, we can know about the mind of others, because it is the same form, same thing. Our lust of a friend is the same thing. You can know well. And it is we call the mind inside and the mind outside, and the mind both inside and outside. Know well about the mind, any aspect in the world. If better than this, we will know about the mind itself, and what is the cause of rising of dust, and the cause of the changing of dust. As we have studied from the second group, the group of feeling, we know well about rapture and happiness cause the mind to arise. The cessation of rapture and happiness, the two feelings, is extinction more temporarily only, not at all of the mind. The cause of a mind, the cause of for the mind to rise, the cause of the mind to extinct. Now we know well about the truth, the fact of the mind. Know the mind, every aspect. Now exercise 9. Don't forget to begin with the very first exercise. Long breathing, short breathing, what to body, calming down the condition of the body, and then the rapture, and then the happiness, and then the true feeling, condition the mind, the calming, the rapture, and the happiness. And then come to this. And don't begin to practice the exercise that we want to practice at that day. Every time we begin to practice, we have to come from the very beginning. And the exercise, the first Now we have exercised 9 practice. Now we come to the 10th exercise. Now come to the exercise of forcing the mind to be this in this situation or that situation, forcing the mind to be as we want it to be. Exercise the 10th. Have bring the mind to be joyful. Force the mind to be joyful. Pi mo dayang chit tang. To force the mind to be joyful. We practice. We have had practiced the exercise of flow, calming down the condition of the body. At that exercise, we have success at that practice, and we can raise the feeling of satisfaction that is the same of joyfulness. We can go back to the practice to raise the feeling of joyfulness. The rapture and the happiness itself, we can improve it to be adequate scale of joyfulness, not too much and not too less. If too much will be rapture, if too less, not a feeling of joyfulness. We improve the rapture and the happiness to be in the form of joyfulness in the mind. When we feel that we are succeeding in the practice, we feel joyfulness. When we have confidence to ourselves that we can do this, we can practice this, joyfulness will arise, will occur in the mind by itself automatically. If we are good practice, the one who practice what? Practitioner. You have ever been a good practitioner? We have to have a 5 indriya or 5 bala. Indriya, Tattha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. 5 Dhamma, gone the 5 bala, 5 power, and 5 indriya. The important instrument. Sometimes we call it as a supreme instrument. Supreme instrument. The tool, instrument. We can have a sattha, confidence, viriya, energy, effort, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, and panya, and wisdom. We think of having these or four, these or five in three or five phala. We can have joyfulness. Joyfulness can occur in our mind at that moment. In the exercise of four, calming down the conditioning of the body, if we have success in this exercise to upper practice, that is to have jhana, absorption or trance or ecstasy, first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. In the factor of jhana, there are piti, rapture, sukha, that it can be used as joyfulness of the mind. We are repeating the third jhana or the fourth, the second jhana or the third jhana. We can feel joyfulness at full scale from the jhana. We can have such a joyfulness by this way at that moment. Even if we feel that we are มีโชคดีว่ามีโชคดี
good fortune
having good fortune to come in here to practice this good fortune
ครับ real fortunate
fortunate having good fortune and coming here in practicing this we are of a good fortune. Fortunately, we happen to come here to practice this Dhamma. Then the mind full of joyfulness. We can have joyfulness in many ways, by many ways. The exercise of 10, having the mind being full of joyfulness, the 10th exercise. Now we come to the exercise 11. Having the mind firm, stable, that is a concentrated itself. Having the mind firm, stable, samadahang cittam in Pali. Having the mind firm, making the mind firm. At the 10th exercise, you having the mind joyfulness. You having the mind firm. We can command the body, we can command the feeling. Now we can command the mind to be firm or stable by means of a concentration that we can have in the exercise of 4 and exercise 8. We repeat the exercise of 4 and exercise 8. We can have the mind stable, more degree, more scale, up and up, up and up. Now we come to know about the feature of stableness. The feature of stableness. we have three features. Firstly, the pureness of the mind. Now the mind pure, free from hindrance, from defilement, being called pure, or pureness of the mind. In Pali we call it Parisuttha or Parisutto. Secondly, stableness again. In Pali we call Samahito. And the third, activeness. You think of these three qualifications: pureness, stableness, and activeness. If it being full of these three qualifications, that it can be called firm, stable. That is a concentrated mind. When the mind pure, when the mind firm, when the mind active, you know yourself that how much usefulness about the mind. Everyone, everywhere, every time want to have such a mind in doing job, in doing anything has to be done. Pureness, stableness, activeness. In practice Dhamma or Buddha Dhamma, in the wider sense, we want activeness on the time, on the level, on the step of the practice. When we want, we have to do a job, we prepare the mind to be full with these three qualifications. But we call it simply a stable mind, but it has three qualifications, important qualifications everyone wants to have, if you know it. When we want to think, when we want to remember, when we want to sleep, good sleep, we have such a mind. We will think good. We will remember good. We will consider good. We will have a good decision in any case. If we cannot sleep, we prepare the mind in such a way, and then we can have a good sleep, a deep sleep. Even we want to stop or to decrease the flowing out of blood, the flowing of blood. We have such a mind, a stable mind. We can decrease or stop flowing out of the blood. You try yourself, you will know yourself. If you have fear, disturbance in the mind, it will increase the flowing out of the blood. The usefulness of the stable mind within our control. Pureness, stableness, activeness. Everyone want. I think everyone want. Or have to want. If he is a simply one, he has tried to have the four qualifications, and the three qualifications. In this practice, you try to check, inspect the pureness, stableness, activeness of your mind by yourself. Every stroke of breathing in and out, breathing in this time, having the pureness of the mind, having the stableness of the mind, the activeness of the mind. Breathing out this time, having the feeling of pureness, stableness, activeness of the mind. Sắc xóm, sắc xóm.
Practice, rehearse.
Rehearse it every time. Repeating, improving. Even the term exerciser can be used as a meaning of sắc xóm, every day, repeating every day. Every stroke of breathing, arrange it to have the value of the three qualifications: pureness of the mind, stableness of the mind, activeness of the mind. Now we come to exercise 12. The last exercise of the third group, or the 12th exercise of the whole set of 16 steps. Making the mind free, making the mind release, making the mind to be emancipated. In Pali we call it Apimochayan, Chittang. In short, we will call setting the mind free. Setting the mind free. Free from bondage, free from imprisonment, free from binding of object, spiritual object. Set the mind free. We can set the mind free by means of concentration. When we have a mind concentrated, we are free from hindrance. Hindrance of five aspects: sexuality, ill will, thought and torpor, restlessness, and doubt. You know well about five hindrance. ใช่ไหมเขารู้ดีแล้ว hindrance 5 hindrance ไม่รู้ You five hindrance in everyday life. We have 5 hindrances: shutting the mind, imprison the mind, sexuality, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness, doubt or hesitation. You know it yourself because you have yourself all the time. Look inside to know when about 5 hindrances in daily life. Set the mind free from 5 hindrances by means of concentration, of samadhi, as we have discussed before. Then, to set the mind free from attachment by means of wisdom. By means of wisdom, we can set the mind free from attachment. The mind attached to this or that, attached in this way, it loves something, attached in this way, it hates something, attached in this way, is full of doubt in something. These are called attachment in ordinary sense that everyone have in daily life, attached to this, attached to that, by means of love, by means of ill will or anger, by means of foolishness, without knowledge, without good knowledge. Very important to know this. To know this, actually, attached in what aspect we will fall in love, attached by what aspect we fall in hatred, by what aspect you fall in restlessness. If you did not know about this, you cannot make use of this practice. Then you have to know it well, because it is in your life, in your daily life, but you did not know it. Now you have to know this very well. Then you will be able to make use of the practice, of this practice, to solve the problem of attachment. Sometimes we call it grasping at, snatch it, grasping at. Sometimes we call it clinging to. I think this term, English term, equivalent to the term upadana in Pali, single term upadana, attached to, clinging to, grasping at something in some way. To give up on attachment, it is to give up all suffering, all problems, all dissatisfactoriness of any kind. The heart of Buddhism is to do away with attachment of every kind. Summarily speaking, give up attachment to 5 aggregates. Only give up all attachment in five aggregate, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. You try to study about this five aggregate. The body, the mind that feel, and the mind when perceive, the mind will conceive, the mind will, when conscious, will be conscious. This five thing aggregate, five aggregate, called five skandha. The mind attached to this five skandha as being I, or being of mind. I or mind, that is attachment. The base of suffering. Now we want the mind to be free from attachment. And you try your best to know when about attachment in this thing or that thing in daily life, every day. To know when about attachment, the important thing that should be to know, to be known. If not, you can not use to make usefulness of this practice. We can say in two ways. We release the mind from the object, or we can release the object from the mind. It is the same thing. It is the same thing. Release the mind from the object we attach, or release the object we attach from the mind. You can speak in two ways, but it's the same thing. Release the mind, to free the mind from the object, release object from the mind. And the way to facilitate in practice, we consider เอาอีกแล้วคำว่าโทษอะไรนะโทษ harmfulness อันนั้นโทษโทษไม่ใช่ punishment นั่นก็โทษนี่อันตรายความเลวร้าย harmfulness of
ใช้หลายคำก็ได้
we try to know, to consider the harmfulness of attachment. But now we didn't know it. We ignore it all the time, did not know, cannot know. And the harmfulness of attachment. More than that, we love it. We love it all the time. The object for attachment, we love it. Even if it's tormenting us, we love it. To know well about it. Harmfulness of attachment. We want to set the mind free from attachment of any kind by this exercise. The 12. We have our suffering from attachment. By means of attachment we have suffering. We consider this, notice this, study it, especially in the moment of practice, this exercise at the 12 of Anapanasati. Breathing in and breathing out by the mind. Realizing the harmfulness of attachment, breathing in. realizing the harmfulness of attachment, breathing out every stroke of breathing all the time, how many hours as it be. The practice of exercise 12. Attachment itself is prison. We have imprisonment. We have been imprisoned in the prison of attachment. Attachment to self. The self will be prison. Will be a jail. Attachment will be a prison or a jail. Know well about attachment. It's tormenting the mind in itself, by itself. What we misunderstand on it, we love it. Now we come to know the reality, the ultimate truth is to know well about attachment, to set free the mind from attachment. In the way of speaking of a relative truth, we will say we set the I, we set we free. This is the correct speaking, because there are no we, there are no I. There is only the mind. Then we have to set the mind free, not to set ourselves, we self free, because there is no I, and no I, no we, no. To set the mind free from attachment. Rather funny to say, to set oneself free from oneself. Do you understand what it says? Set oneself free from oneself. The oneself or the self imprison us. We have to destroy the prison of the self, of oneself, of the self. This way we find it speaking in ultimate truth. If we speaking in relative truth, we can say set I, set me, set oneself from attachment. In ultimate truth, we can say set the mind from the thing the mind attached to. That is to free the mind from attachment. 12 exercises 12. And the last of the third group of the mind. The group of the mind, the third group. Summarily, now we can say, now we are master of the mind. We are the master of the mind. In reality, we are the master of self, of ourself, of we self. We are the master of the mind. And that is the master of the self. Now we have a free mind. then we can use the free mind to practice the upper exercise, up and up, up and up. That is the fourth strategy. We have to prepare the mind in such a way, such a condition, then the mind being able to practice the upper exercise. That is the fourth group. We will speak about it next day. Now we have discussed about the third group, or third aspect of mindfulness development, or Anapanasati. The first exercise of this group, to know well about the situation of the mind, and then forcing the mind to be in joyfulness, forcing the mind to be in stableness, forcing the mind to release all things which attaches to the mind. Or another way you can say, release the things from the mind, that is to set the mind free from attachment. Tonight we can practice this four exercises. Last night we practiced the second group, now the third group. Venerable and Santikaro intend for you to facilitate the practice, step by step, bit by bit. Now we have to stop. Friendly conversation, friendly in birth, in decay, in disease, in distress. Thank you. To be a good listener, endeavoring to listen. My English speaking clumsiness as a Chinese speaking Thai on the time.